Hey guys, Basil with Grayson Hobby, and today we have another jumper video.
We're back with another video. This time it's a T12.
T12? Holy Batman, what is a T12?
Well, we shrunk the T16 and it's another radio from Jumper. This is more suitable for the economy line.
Yep.
Lower price range.
All right. So if you want to find out more what the heck this T12 is, stay tuned and you gotta watch the whole video. And the good stuff is at the end, of course. If you're new to the channel, Grayson Hobby is a shop located outside of Atlanta, Georgia, where we sell and ship out quads and airplanes and drone parts and everything of sorts. And everything you see on our website is located here in our good old USA warehouse right outside of Atlanta. All right, in this video, we're gonna take this little guy and we're gonna compare it to the T16. We're gonna go over the buttons, we're gonna go over the features, what it has, what it doesn't have, and bonus, there's always a bonus. We're gonna open up and show
crack it open.
We're gonna show you the insides and how this really differs from the T16, right?
So let's open this thing up, see what we got in here. We got a neck strap. This is a basic neck strap, not the heavy duty one, which you can get separately. 18650 battery holder. Some sort of paper manual, which is
wrong.
More than
that says you use AAA's or AA's, but now.
Okay, so it's a useless piece of paper. Stickers, and then the radio, a USB, mini USB cable.
Not the USB-C.
Sound chamber, do it yourself. I guess that's if you put
a speaker? Oh.
No idea. Looks like gimbal parts. So these are their spare. Yeah, this is just spares. It's not different.
Before we begin, who is this T12 for? Who's the target audience in this guy?
This is a radio that honestly I think it fills the spot of being able to get that budget bundle as far as getting the radio, getting the drone, getting the plane, whatever, all in one step without breaking the bank, because it does add up.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking. It's a little more than half the price.
It's
at least a third of the price off of a T16. It's also good for people with smaller hands, etc.
It's great for a backup radio if you want to keep this one in your car, or keep that one in your, keep this one at home and keep that one in your car.
Travel, if you travel a lot, this is and you don't like the joystick style controllers, like the video game looking controllers.
Right.
This is more traditional. If you're a thumber, it's not bad. If you don't want as many switches, if you don't care about the color screen, etc. If you want something that just gets the job done at the end of the day, you know.
So at the end of the day, this is the multi-module, the same multi-module as is in the T16. So it will do your spectrums, it will do your FrSkys, it will do, what else is there?
There's like 52 different.
No, I mean, who else flies whatever? Yeah. But it does all the same protocols, and the list will be below. That changes all the time, but it does the most important ones. FrSky and Spectrum. D8,
which is going to cover most of the people.
And D16s. Yeah. All right, what makes this different? Why do I need a T12?
Everybody's familiar, because we've worn out the internet with the T16 videos. This is the little brother, the T12. This one, basically what they did is they redesigned the case a little bit and changed the screen, and it runs OpenTX. So this is going to be similar to like an X-Lite or QX7 in the operations of it. I would say, but you have less switches if you compare it. You only have 6 switches here versus 8. One thing to point out, this has a momentary switch on the T16. There's no momentary switch.
I personally like
on. I actually wish it did.
Oh wow.
Only for pre-arming. I like having that momentary for pre-arm. You have the 6 switches here, which you can get 2 sliders here.
Sliders there.
So you have on the left and right, which is actually a nice spot, and they're nice, so they get a little grip on them. You have your USB port on the top for simulator and all that, which is nice because some radios have it at the bottom, and then the cord bends around when you're running on your computer and all that, or TV for simulator. And next thing you know, you end up breaking your USB port off. Being up here, it's more in a spot that's not going to get destroyed.
Okay.
You have your trainer jack, headphone jack, I believe. We have to double check on that one there, and then
it's got internal module.
It does have an internal module.
So according to Jumper, this has the same internal module as the T16. So it's
I wouldn't be surprised to say production cost. Yeah. This case is the empty external case, so they're not doing the fancy backplate yet, or if they're ever going to, because it's just cheap.
And look at that.
It's Crossfire compatible. Yes.
You can put that in right there, and it works. Fits in like snug as a bug.
Yeah, you do have to make sure your pins line up. That's a common thing with the Crossfire module, guys. These right here, these 4 pins or 5 pins. You do need to make sure, and I've seen it a couple times where don't force it, because if you force it, what will happen is it'll bend the pins over one way or the other, and so it won't work. Definitely check and make sure. And like this one, for example, I think the pins are slightly, so when I have to plug it in, yeah, you have to kind of get it.
You don't want to force it.
Yeah, I can actually hear the pins kind of sticking right there. So they actually are out a little bit. So I need to actually not force them, just kind of manipulate them a little. It's actually too close. Sorry, I went the wrong way.
All right, so see, it's plug and play, but you have
there you go.
Do it right. Yeah, there you go.
All right, so basically, for example, on this one, these pins, and actually, when I first looked at it, they actually did look like they were like this way. So I just had to make sure the pins were out straight.
Okay.
So that way it lines up. And because there is tolerance difference, this is two different manufacturers' products, so obviously there's going to be a little bit of tolerance difference there. But once you get it there, which I just bent the pins the other way again.
No reason to take it out once it's in.
Yeah, once it's in.
All right.
And you will need to take your antenna off to put a crossfire in, and then put your antenna back on.
Okay.
So that's actually a nice little 3D printed part that Basil made there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gave you a compliment. Look at that.
Quick poll. If you're a T12 fan, if you want a T12, put T12 in the comments. If you're a T16 fan or want a T16, put T16 in the comments. Or if you're a T18 fan, put T18 in the comments.
Which is not even out yet, but you already have one, so you know. All
right.
The antenna is pre-installed from the factory. It is threaded on there. So this is a threaded antenna.
And it's not the same as you're on the VTX.
No, this is a 2.4 gigahertz antenna, not 5.8. Now, just to verify, somebody asked me this before. This is a T16 stock antenna. Let's make sure it should be the same.
Well, it's got to be, because that's the same internal module.
Well, they could have put a different port on. But yeah, okay, so they're the same. So if you need to get a replacement antenna, we actually already have those.
Okay.
Now, guys, please remember, never, ever, ever, ever power your radio up without the antenna on, because you will burn out that module. Just like a video transmitter on a quad, if you don't have the antenna on, if you power this up without the module antenna on the module, you can burn it out.
Burn it out, yep.
So they come installed, which is great because the T16s don't come installed, and I've seen several people over the year or so that we've been carrying them now burn out the module from just turning them on, playing around with them without the antenna on. The battery bay. This battery bay on the T12 Pro takes the 18650. It comes with the 18650 holder, which is the same one for the T16, okay? So if you want to upgrade your battery to, say, the GMB 2500
or the
LiPo
3000
or 3000. Oh, the
new one's coming out. Yep.
So if you want to put one of the T16 batteries in it, it will fit in this one now. Okay. So apparently the older model did not fit the larger batteries.
Close
this
it up.
one does.
Let's see if it fits.
Well, you just got to put the wires in there. Also make sure. Yeah.
All right. There we go. You never know. We could be doing trickery.
The SD card slot is right here, guys. So if you do want to add an SD card.
Wait a minute. It doesn't come with one?
Does not come with one.
No SD card.
No SD card.
All right.
SD card is not included. It is usable, but not included.
All right.
The gimbals. Now, this is a much smaller radio. If you look at it. So it literally is about 1.5 inches less in width and about 1.5 inches less in height, too. A lot of people really like the radio if they have smaller hands, like if you're a kid or something like that, you're trying to get someone younger with smaller hands into the hobby. But I will say, you know, I got pretty big hands here, and this is nice because I'm a thumber and I can actually get everywhere in the gimbal range. One thing I found with the T16, I have to hold it a little unnatural to get all the way in.
That. It's cool. This is a cool radio.
Getting to that corner, I'm gonna 3D print, or I'm hoping Jumper will release like I talked in prior video, a grip that I can hold it a little more inset. But they haven't done it yet. But that's one thing with the T16 I would find for thumbers. It's a little more suited for a pincher. Whereas this one, if you're a thumber or have smaller hands, this is a great radio. Let's go ahead and plug in a battery. I'll show you guys the screen on this guy. Turning it on. So you got OpenTX.
Oh, it comes stock on OpenTX.
Yeah, it's OpenTX, backlit screen. This is actually pre-flash for an ET125 right now. I'll set it up. But basically, if you're familiar with the QX7, X lights and all that, you're going to be very familiar with the screen layout and all that. The menus are a little, to me, it's a little more confusing on the initial learning of where all the buttons are. But once you get the hang of it, especially if you're not dealing with 4 or 5 different radios like I am.
I mean, let's face it, we've been doing this for a year now. And
yeah, if you have multiple radios like me, I'm having to do different setups. It takes a second to think about it, but if this is your only radio, you'll get used to it very quickly. But other than that, that's pretty much everything there. You do have the backlit screen, like I said, and then the menu.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
Will this bind to Spectrum? But so back to the point, you don't have an SD card.
Yeah, the SD card. Now, Traditionally on FrSky radios or that's OpenTX platforms, other than the T16 and say the FrSky Horus, most of these radios will run without an SD card. You don't have the Lewis grips, you don't have, that's if they install them, you don't have the sound card files and some other miscellaneous stuff like saving firmware and all that, and backups. So you can add the SD card and do such.
I've already taken one apart, so pop these little plastic tabs off.
For the record, guys, I've never taken one of these apart, so I'm actually, he's telling me to pop something.
You have to... Damn it, Will, listen.
No, just no touchy. I'm pretty sure. Are you sure you don't have to take one of these off?
Pop that off, that plastic thing, with a screwdriver.
Okay, all right. You might be onto something here. God. Bless it, that's tight. Okay, I see what you're saying. He might be onto something, guys. All right, so I'm going to use just an old 4-inch prop from like an ET Max.
We don't want to scratch that up, though.
Yeah, so you don't want to use metal because you don't want to tear up your cover. But are you sure about this?
Am I sure about you? No, but I'm sure about this.
Nope. Okay, we got it.
All right.
Getting this under here. I think if I push it in the center,
it pops off a lot easier if you use if it screws already.
Ah, there we go.
All right. You can unscrew it.
There is how many screws? 8?
Yeah.
No, 6.
We'll let you do that.
Yeah.
So all 6 screws.
My battery is removed. Top pieces were popped out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws.
6 screws.
No battery.
And there we go. There's the guts, guys. Okay. Now I do want to clarify something. This is not the exact same part as a T16. So if you fry your module somehow by forgetting to put your antenna on, you will not be able to order a T16 one. It's the same piece here, the actual module, but the circuit board is completely different. Okay. So it will not interchange. So do you see something I don't see in this, Basil? What's missing here? Something that...
Hold on.
Ticket after ticket after ticket.
Hold on. Wait a minute. What are these little white things right here?
These are plugs.
Wait,
and these are wires.
Is that a switch with a plug and not a
This is a wired harness. Okay, so that's nice. You have on this, guys, the gimbals are wire connection, so that plugs in. So if you have to replace a gimbal, you have a wire. Your sliders, oh no, that's both gimbals. Okay, that's both gimbals there. The slider is actually part of the circuit board, so it doesn't look like you can change that part. The switches are soldered in as well. So you got switch connections.
But they're not soldered. They're soldered to here.
Well, they're soldered here, but they're plugged
in there.
So you can replace them, but they're wired connection. They're not ribbon cables. So if you go online, I'm sure you've seen it. Ribbon cables can be a pain in the butt. And can come out during shipping. Yeah, they can get knocked around. And apparently can come out just out of the blue. I don't know about that. Might have never given me a problem, by the way. I haven't either. Okay. But what we have here is wired connections. So your multi-modules plugged in. All your switches are plugged in. Your gimbals are plugged in. There's the SD card port, by the way. Okay. So really the only deficiency I see here is if you happen to somehow break a slider, the motherboard also has a slider. That's it. Yeah, so if you can't replace this, it has to replace all of this. Yeah, and then like the SD card board, if you jam that SD card in backwards and just break it, guess what? You're buying another motherboard. You're not buying just a little module. Or apparently you don't even need an SD card, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. All right. So close back up. One last food for thought. All right. So we got it all back together. We'll message Jumper exactly. I think that's just to make it echo throughout the radio and make it louder for the speaker because it's kind of talking about the that. Yeah, we have no idea what that does. Yeah. Okay. So one thing I do want to go over is when you get into your menu. So make sure, guys, when you're setting up, so you still have external. Make sure you select internal, multi. And then if you got FlySky, Hubsan, etc., let's go to FrSky. That's what most people are going to be using. And you got D16, D8, and all this stuff. It's got LBT. Interesting. So if those of you guys in Europe using that stuff. What about Spectrum? So if you are using Spectrum, you switch it over. Internal, multi, DSM. All right. And then DSM2, DSMX. Okay. So it does it. Does it all. It does it. It almost all being Spectrum and FrSky. No, it almost acts like it's the same module as the T16. Crazy.
Sum it up. What does this
All right,
have?
guys. In summary, we have backlit LCD screen. We have the multi-module, which supports all the major protocols.
Spectrum, FrSky.
FlySky, etc. Yeah.
But who cares?
Look on the list for that. You have two position sliders. Switches. Sorry.
Two position switches.
And 4 3-position switches.
4 click, 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 click. Switches.
2 roller wheels.
Rolly, rolly.
Buttons instead of a scroll wheel. Wired connections for all the switches instead of ribbon cables.
Internal wires.
Still has the ability to take the 18650 or a LiPo battery of certain size. SD card slot, so you can add the sound pack and all that.
Not necessary to have the SD card.
Yeah, it will run without the SD card, which is a good point. I do like that.
Works with...
And a multi-module
Crossfire?
bay to where you can add Crossfire, R9, etc. USB port, trainer jack, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything there, guys.
That's it.
Pretty much if you're familiar with the T16s and all that, it's just kind of a simplified version of it. So